Forefront has been announced by Triangle Factory, and I am beyond excited for it, and I hope by the end of this video, you'll understand why. Most of you will look at this game and think, it's just another VR shooter with vehicles, so what? You couldn't be more wrong. Let me slice up to you exactly what Forefront is. It is a Battlefield-inspired game that has been built from the ground up to run natively on the Quest 3. Do you understand the gravity of that statement? The Quest 3 is an amazing piece of hardware. It keeps pushing out what's possible for standalone VR. Hell, we got Batman and Assassin's Creed on it. But a Battlefield game is not something I was expecting. Battlefield is a very intense game as far as performance costs. It consists of large player counts, several vehicle types, and destructible environments, which all have been confirmed to be in Forefront. We do see a lot of this already in Contractor Showdown, which also runs native on the Quest 3. 60 players, customizable weapons, and vehicles. The map is huge and there's a ton of land to explore. But whenever you play it, it just feels empty. You can go several minutes without an enemy encounter, and when you do, it feels like it's usually a 3v3 or a 3v6 at most. You never really get that feeling that you're in a full-scale war zone, and I think that's exactly what Forefront is going to try and be. Looking at the trailer, the map looks pretty open, and instead of it being in a team of 3, you'll have a team of 16. Can you imagine running into a war zone with 15 of your teammates around you charging an objective? Then add helicopters and tanks to the mix. This has never been done before in any first-party VR game. Literally the first of its kind. So now that you understand what Forefront is, I want you to understand why Triangle Factory, being the developers of this game, makes this even more important. If you don't know already, Triangle Factory is the same game studio behind Hyperdash and Breachers, which both games have been huge successes on the entire VR ecosystem. Also, really understand, this is their third entry. The VR landscape is kind of niche, and a lot of games really have tight budgets and profit margins that they don't always meet. And a lot of great VR game studios go under because of this. So making it to Game 3 is a huge indicator of their past success. Another key win for Hyperdash and Breachers was their performance. Triangle Factory values how their game plays on standalone hardware, which is something not a lot of VR studios do. Hyperdash was one of the only multiplayer games that upped their FPS from 72 to 90, and later even 120 frames per second. And Breachers launched their games at 90 FPS, then upped the resolution scale to 4K. That is Valve Index level performance. These guys will use every bit of performance headroom they have to improve their game, thus improving your experience as a player. So I can confidently say, when Forefront launches, expect some insane level performance and for there to be improvements when the Quest 4 releases. Speaking of overtime, Triangle Factory has incredible post-launch support, like really impressive support. After Hyperdash was released, their last content update was over 3 years after launch. 3 years, still getting new maps, while their second game was out and also still getting new maps. And speaking of updates, when Forefront was just announced, they announced that Breachers was getting a new content update as well. So Forefront is going to be supported for a while. We can confidently expect bug fixes, buffs and nerfs, and new maps and modes over the years. So rest assured, if you buy anything from the shop, that money will go to good use. And here's where we talk about my only major gripe about this game studio, and it is exactly that. Their store prices. Between Hyperdash and Breachers, Triangle Factory has set their cosmetics at some pretty steep prices. One of their bundles is a 2D skin that only covers half of the weapons and it costs more than the entire game. Or you can buy an avatar skin that only other players will be able to see for $15. These prices have never budged between these two games, and I've even asked the devs about them, and they just said enough people buy them at this price, so they don't plan on changing them. Which honestly is fine. As long as more diehard fans are buying enough cosmetics to support the studio, I can't be mad about it. I'd love to support them more, I just can't justify those prices for what I'm getting. So this is something we can expect to see from Forefront as well. I have no idea how far their cosmetics will go, if it'll be character skins, vehicle or weapon skins, but you can expect them to be priced pretty steeply. But that is my literal only complaint about the studio. And to their credit, they did make Hyperdash free after Breachers was released. So we might even see Breachers go free to play as well. So to recap everything, what can we expect from Forefront? We can expect it to have a very stable launch with impressive performance metrics and improvements over time. We can expect it to be a super fun game if they have always focused on making the game special for what it is and not what it isn't. And we can expect post-launch support and content for the next 3 years. So those are my reasons I'm super excited for Forefront to come out, and I hope this gets you excited as well.